Okay, I call to order the Township of Rochelle Park Land Use Board meeting for March 19th, 2026. Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231. According to the Open Public Meetings Act, this meeting of March 19, 2026 was published on the Township website on January 16, 2026, and in the Bergen Record, Herald News, Our Town, on January 22nd, 2026. Notice of the closed session meeting was published on the Township website on March 16, 2026. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the Township Clerk. Can everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for the men and women of our armed forces. Thank you. Gina, can we get a roll call?
Chairperson Warren?
Here.
Vice Chairman Pullman?
Here.
Mayor Miller is on his way, Chairperson.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chwinsky?
Here.
Member Booth?
Here.
Member Pullman is, already did that. I apologize. Member Dudia will be absent from the meeting today. Member Kandira? Here. Member Matson?
Here.
And Member Mueller? Here. And alternate White is coming up with the days with us. Alternate Brazil?
Yeah.
All good? Thank you very much, Gina. Moving on to our first item for discussion tonight is the topic of short-term rentals. Gina has given to everyone up here in their materials the current Chapter 150A property rental article that's in our code book. I know that Deputy Mayor Chwinsky, at the last township meeting, this was a topic for discussion, and you had also asked for this to be on the land use agenda. I'm going to defer to you if you'd like to begin.
Great, thank you. As most of you know, short-term rentals has become a hot topic, mostly because of what has happened recently with police activity. It's come to have been brought to our attention, and I know this has been something that's been addressed before with our township committee, but I thought it would be a good time tonight for us to maybe have a discussion on short-term rentals and what we would think might be appropriate to present or offer to the township. In our discussions at our meeting, in our public session, we spoke to the point of trying to come up with what's an agreeable amount of time for a lease, and it turns out that there's some information out there that suggests that there's a business in town that owns 3 rentals that uses them for short-term leasing, like 1 month, and that is one that creeped up that the recent problem occurred with. So with that in mind, we were kicking around some ideas, but I'd like to hear from this board. I thought it would be appropriate for this board to weigh in on it and see what their thoughts were with maybe making enforcing and coming up with an ordinance that limits leases to a minimum of 6 months or 1 year, or if we can do that, and maybe Ron, you can weigh in on that, help us with this as well from a legal standpoint, are we jamming ourselves up legally or boxing ourselves in?
So let me just start. Have you had this discussion with the township council?
We have.
What did Mr. Scatino say? Because I would have to research this. I think it would probably be, somewhat discriminatory if you put a certain amount of time. I mean, we're not supposed to have boarding houses, rooming, houses, that sort of thing. But I don't know. Did Mr. Scatino opine?
He did mention some concerns, said that we would have to dig into this a little further and research it as far as trying to come up with a resolve for this. Somehow it seems like there needs to be some attachment to how these properties are being marketed and used, and a penalty for, if we have an ordinance against how they can be used for rental. I don't want to box us in legally either, so, I guess that's where you come in too, Ron. And as far as anyone else here that has any historical information on this board or any other ideas and thoughts in mind, I'd like to hear from you. It's an open public session, so, let's talk about it, see if we have any ideas and thoughts. Oh, I see Bob.
Just understand, it's not this state, but in Florida, 6 months and 1 day are considered not a short-term lease. The reason I bring that up is my home that I'm renting out, you get past the tax issue. In this state, it's a 1 month, I think a 3 month, or anything further than that. There's a consideration of how it's determined, how it's paid on, and tax on it. So, like you said, you don't want to box yourself in a corner here, but if we put into something where you don't want to make it a flop house, right? A 30-day, and then you start getting that kind of traffic to it where it becomes an Airbnb of sorts, right? And there's a whole discussion to that. We want to make sure that if we can put ourselves in something where it's a little longer term than 3 months, it keeps it so that, you have more steady flow that you're not drawn from in other ways. I'm having trouble saying it, but there's a matter to it.
So I think the first thing that needs to be done is some legal research. And then
Okay.
I will circulate that so that we can perhaps discuss it the next go-around. Because I'm sort of flying. I don't know whether it's a month, a day, 6 months.
I'm sorry, Mr. Massey.
Could we perhaps say like a certain number of days and under is considered transient, and then have a zoning application for this, and say zoning for short-term rentals is
One
in
of
the
the points,
commercial district and outside the residential?
one of the points I brought up at the township committee meeting that I attended was that you cannot register a child for school living in an Airbnb purchased property. That's something I know just working in a school myself. That's not a lease. That's not a true rental property where it's registered that way. Airbnb is a private entity. So I'd like to explore that avenue as well, is that if you have people who are doing Airbnb, one, if they have children, are they somehow getting them into the school? Because Airbnb is not a legal lease. You're borrowing the house or the property from someone temporarily. You're not a partner or a stakeholder in that property. The other avenue, going completely on the other side of these things, Deputy Mayor, when we travel, and we have used Airbnbs, we've moved away from them in the past. There's too many fees involved, and there's too many fees involved for a couple of reasons. One is that there are places that are popular with vacationers that have a lot of Airbnbs, and the city or the town or the resort place knows it. They tax that house in a certain way because it's being used, and the city is making some money off of it to pay for services that frequent renters would consume, whether it's water, sewage, police, EMS, etc. So you, as the borrower of the house, would have to pay a fee to whatever town that Airbnb resides in to pay for those services that, as we've seen in Rochelle Park, when you have an issue like we did, you're calling in the police, whoever else, which is taxpayer money, so that's another mechanism that I think if the town wants to have Airbnbs, that's up to the township committee. I have my own personal feelings about it, but then they should be registered with the town to know it's an Airbnb, and maybe there's a special surtax that you have to pay as an Airbnb person. You pass it on to the consumer as is usual, to pay for a rotating use, especially with people moving in and out of the tools that we have in town. You're using our sewer, you're using our water, you're using the infrastructure, I should say. That's two avenues I'd like to explore as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just have a quick statement, though. As I had a summer home in the Poconos, and my development would not allow anything under 30 days. And that was to avoid the short-term Airbnb kind of vacation rental thing. It had to be minimum of 30 days. What I do know also, though, is my nephew, who lives in Fort Lauderdale, has 2 homes on his property, and one he continually rents out to people in the medical field, nursing, visiting nurses, doctors, things like that, and he keeps getting the same kind of client. So I don't know, like, to me, living close to, big hospitals and things like that, that could be an advantage to having a short-term rental, saying you're a visiting nurse or whatever. But I don't know what the process is to somehow go direct towards that type of clientele.
I think that would, I mean, you had mentioned, an Airbnb home, even a home that you want to rent, it'd be nice to have the same clientele come in,
Yeah.
but you really can't
You can't
advertise it that way or force it that way. It's nice that they're probably telling their friends, hey, it's a great place to stay.
System, you might.
Right.
Some
So
kind of
if you work through the
agency,
medical
I
system,
think.
or you work under Valley's umbrella, you might be able to then say 356 Ocean Ave can be rented out per year for people
Mhm.
within the medical,
Right.
right?
Right. I don't know. I'm just saying. I
But
don't know.
another thing that
Yes.
concerned me
I
was,
also-
I'm sorry,
Sorry.
I was with the
I'm
World
sorry.
Cup coming in, the soccer games, I don't know how that works, but I would think that could draw, somebody could rent a house for 30 days and say, I want to watch all these games, and they're going to stay all month. So you really don't know what kind of clientele you're going to be bringing in.
Can we just also make sure that, I do think whatever we land on should be addressed in the master plan,
Yes.
Yeah.
just to make sure.
I remember when it was originally banned back in 2017, when I was on the township committee, and that was to combat what was currently happening at the time, where people were renting out single rooms in their home, or a illegal garage apartment, or illegal basement apartment. And you went on to Airbnb or any of those sites, and you would see, and you typed in Rochelle Park, and it was a garage with one tiny window and no, there was nothing up to code. But as people purchase properties here, I guess, not what current housing prices now, but people who have owned properties here, who have and will continue to rent them out to people in need, then I agree with Debbie about the 30 days. It's you're going to get a lot of rotating people in, and again, my concern is that they're using town resources and then getting up and leaving, and we are left with the bill.
The 30 days, Michael, you addressed a few things that I had in mind. My question is the school system. If the owner of the house has no kids, he rents it for 6 months, or he does a year lease, he brings 3 kids in. It's going to be a continual rotation and burden on the school system.
100%. You're right, Bill.
Something that we have to take into consideration.
Yep.
And not only that, your neighbor, they know they're on short-term leases, they want friends over, they want to have the big party, here it is, nice day in July, and, you're relaxing, and the inconvenience on the neighborhood, and the consideration, the possible inconsideration.
Right.
Personally, I think the minimum should be a year if we're even thinking about this, because then they're committed to the community for a year. 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, it's 3 months goes like that, and,
Yeah.
anything can happen in the meantime.
I'm glad to hear it, Bill, because I think, like many of us up here, we want to make sure there's no waste happening, right? Our town resources cost money. It costs people who live in town money to use these resources, and if it's going to waste in a way where they're being overused by people who are here for short-term stays, like I said, we end up paying the bill for it in the end, whether it's the school system and the classroom size, the special services that are needed today. I know as a teacher, special education is costly but needed. But these are all resources that the homeowner who is here for the long term, who gets a mortgage or even rents year to year, will have to pay for it.
So I certainly have some research to do, but let me just play devil's advocate on the school bit for a minute.
Yeah.
The owner of that house pays property taxes, and presumably 50%, 60%, in my town it's 86% of my tax bill goes to the school system. And I don't have any kids in the school system either. So I don't know if it's discriminatory to now say to that owner, hey, you've got to make sure you charge that person who's renting you, or you have to pay now an extra fee. They're already paying quite a bit to the school system. But I don't know.
Maybe the answer lies somewhere in the zoning, the type of zone that it is for this type of use. Is it a residential, still a residential use if we're using it for a business?
A business, Airbnbs, right?
I mean, I know you can
I would-
residentially, you can lease houses, right? One family, two family, but it seems like we're in a transient stage. We're in a different,
Well, if you do
a different type of zone.
If you do a 6-month minimum, and let's just say, for instance, you define 30 days or less as a short-term lease, then that makes it so you can't do an Airbnb.
Well, the Airbnb, we gotta be careful, because in their definition of the Airbnb, they can rent a room.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So this is what we gotta be mindful. We keep talking about Airbnb. I think we have to set our own standard and define it the way we want it. If we put Airbnb, what happens is somebody says, hey, listen, I want to do it because it says, it's an Airbnb, I can do this. You know?
And that's why we didn't name it in the original
Yes.
plan, because of the fact that someone could point to and go, well, I didn't
But
get an Airbnb, I got a Verbo.
Because we already have zoning for short-term transient lodging at the hotel,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So that's our short-term lease.
So the HOAs, the way they take care of it, like where my parents' house is, it's very specific that you have to tell the HOA everything that's gonna be. Who
Right.
it is, what the lease term is, how long, and all that. So, yeah, if they have say in it, because they're running their 3,500 person estate, then the town is the same way, it's its own HOA.
Anyone else up here with any thoughts? I think Ron's got homework. I think we, probably have some homework as well. I know with housing. Oh, let's open up to the public. Can I have a motion to open the public for this topic?
Make a motion.
Thank you. Second? All right. All those in favor? Aye. All right. For this topic about the short-term rentals, the microphone is available for anyone, members of the public who'd like to comment about the topic.
At the invitation.
Of course.
There's timely articles in the paper today regarding short-term rentals with private equity money purchasing multiple single-family homes in towns like ours, and then the resulting problems that occur.
I've heard of that, yes.
Problem.
Private equity, yep.
Private equity guys. But that's what that's what drew my interest in the article today. It started with private equity short-term rentals.
Okay.
I can tell you, I have had short-term rentals near my house, and I have contacted the building department about it, and it went on again today. So basement,
Right.
specifically apartments, so there's no problem.
Mr. Hassel, I hear you, and one of the things that I think I mentioned at the Township Committee meeting was that we do not have a registry of homes that are rentals, flat out period, nor do we have a mechanism to have people register their homes as Airbnb or Verbo or whatever you want to call that system. Private rentals really is what it is, which would help locate and help us understand the picture better, I think. This is just my opinion, not anyone else's opinion up here.
Going back to my time on the school board, to show you inventive process, I don't know, Matt, if this happened while you were on, we had an official from a neighboring urban district who was sending special ed families to be domiciled in Rochelle Park, so that we would have to pick up the exorbitant special ed costs, which we lost the attorney eventually, and that practice ended. But that was something that was well organized. That would have been in the early 2000s. So they can go, they can be pretty inventive when they want. circumvent the rules.
Thank you. Anyone have any?
Minnesota, we'll see that, Bob.
Yeah.
We'll see that in Minnesota, how inventive they are.
Oh, I can only imagine in that country.
So,
Yes, hold on. Any other members of the public for this topic? Oh, thank you so much. I'll make a motion to close the public session for this topic. Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Mr. Chwinsky.
so it just so happens that I have here an old registry of all non-conforming, two families that was presented from some historical archives that we have available to us from 1990. And it has all the listed homes that were two families and non-conforming. And there's a couple on here that if they were ever sold, they were supposed to go back to one families. So this is something, again, this is.
I just want to point out, Mr. Chwinsky, I think that's great. I'm very happy we have those historical records, but I just don't understand why the town has ended up the way it has ended up. If we had all these mechanisms in place to protect us, it just makes me wonder how we got here over time, because I do believe the past zoning boards and planning boards did their due diligence and did their homework. But for me, as a current resident, I don't know that world. I don't know 1990, but I'm living in the consequences of all these protections and all these things that past boards did that somehow were wiped away. And I feel like as a township, we are digging ourselves out of that still. That's just how I kind of feel about that. But I'm glad you have those things. So what happens with those homes that are supposed to be back to one families?
I think this is a hot topic for us, right? This is a hot topic for us to open back into and to, get this on a reoccurring agenda until we have the solutions to this, right?
Right.
And it's also, part of this is having enforcement in place where we can actually rely on, an enforcement agency in the township that
Right.
can carry out these, when a complaint comes in, it's
Yeah.
carried out and it's not left up to the owners. And I think part of that is gonna have to do with our website that we're building, which I keep
Yes.
asking, we keep working on, we're moving forward, and when that website is built, that there should be links on there, and there will be links on there to a lot of this information that'll make it easier and more available for the public to see what was approved and what wasn't approved, without having to jump through hoops and rings of fire to look at it, and send it over to the department that can enforce this and make it very simple. It doesn't need to be that convoluted and that difficult. I think that's part of the problem, is the layers and layers and layers that you unpeel the onion. It prohibits a lot of people, except if, you're retired and have a little extra time on your hands and can research stuff and you get it out there. And smart enough to look for it, know where to go for it.
I'm going to say it, I think all roads lead, or are leading to, as we keep doing the work up here, is to the enforcement.
Yes.
Is that, and yes, to build the mechanism of enforcement might cost you a little bit of money up front, but we are living the consequence right now of a lack of enforcement for decades, in my opinion here. I've been here 10 years, and the town hasn't much changed since, since when 2015, when I got here. It's something that I think needs to be addressed, and I think the current township committee is addressing it, or attempting to address it. And it's not easy, but I think everything is leading back to who is enforcing these documents. We can have all the historical data we want, but somehow the town looks the way it does. And I don't get that.
You're spot on, Michael.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was complacency years ago.
Yeah.
Also, the change of the building department, nobody relayed the message, nobody relayed the document. I got that when I was the chairman.
Yeah.
Up there, and they wouldn't give it to me. Gloria was in there, and she did not share that at all. I said, Gloria, I need that, because we got people coming before the board. They're saying that it was a legal two-family, and it's always been a legal two-family.
Right.
Bill, I'll give you the legal list of the pre-existing non-conforming houses. And if the house burns, or more than 50% of it is destroyed or anything, it goes back to a one-family. So what Matt has that I gave him is the only list of the legal pre-existing non-conforming houses.
Okay. Well, thank you, Bill. I think everyone appreciates that, having that record.
Another thing, Michael, I mean, if we're in these times now where, you know, with illegals and terrorists and everything else going on, you know, some of these past attacks on New York and all that were done in short-term rentals.
Right.
Where they organized it, and then they rented the containers or the storage facilities to keep their stuff. So we gotta be thinking outside the box when we address this.
Thank you. Anyone else up here about this topic? All right, we're going to move on.
We're going to leave off at the next meeting, we're going to come back with some.
Well, I think also the township committee should continue the conversation
Oh, we
around
are.
it too. And if Ron has information, he'll filter it to Gina for you guys this way. You know, any thoughts, Ron?
Yeah, just understand it's a complicated issue. When I was the borough attorney in Fairlawn, we litigated for 2 years. It's not a rooming house because, you know, I'm dating this one and this one knows that one. It was a boarding house. 2 years that went on, so it's a complicated issue.
No, housing is a topic that, you know, is, people can litigate, you know, and claim discrimination, which we, you know, understand is their right to do, to defend the right to live there, so.
And the state's always pushing for affordable housing and, you know, single dwelling units. So, all right. I'll have something.
Thank you, Ron. Next up is the lighting ordinance. We discussed this at the last land use meeting. I think it was brought up at the township committee meeting. Yes, it was. I was there. So Gina had sent me an email about the consistency review that has to take place. So Mr. Burgess, I asked Gina to send it to Mr. Burgess, who's the planner for the land use board, to review the lighting ordinance that was being discussed by the township committee, which is, I think, an exact copy of the one we were looking at up here last month, right? So Mr. Burgess did communicate to us in a memo here with the summary of the ordinance, the master plan consistency. In the end, quick in the dirty here, the lighting ordinance doesn't meet the consistency of the current master plan. However, a little asterisk footnote for the public, our current master plan is not a real master plan, according to Mr. Burgess. So, what do we do? So, and it's in Mr. Burgess's memorandum that we can vote as a land use board to still recommend the lighting ordinance to the township committee to vote on. And then, obviously, we do have the current master plan, I believe, to work on this year. That can be incorporated into the new master plan. And this way, everything is all in one place for people who are looking to come here and build and develop. But I'd like to open up to discussion for the land use board, and then I will open up to the public as well. Anyone want to begin to discuss this? Ms. Muller, we'll start with you.
Did you just say he said it wasn't consistent?
It says in the conclusion,
Yeah, read it again.
as such, we find that the board can, as such, we find that the board can make the determination that pending ordinance is not inconsistent.
Not inconsistent.
Oh, my God. We did the same thing, okay. We did oh, my God. Okay, so I apologize for that. It is not inconsistent with the township's master plan. I missed the inconsistent, so.
I read it, and I, he was kind of positive,
Yes.
and then it said inconsistent. I said, no.
Yes,
I
well,
read it again.
that's how I felt. You know what? I appreciate you for pointing that out. I must admit, I did not see I said is not consistent.
Too negative.
I'm gonna, you know what, Mr. Burgess, double negative. And where is Mr. Burgess tonight for the double negative? So I apologize. Lou, you're gonna be Mr. Burgess tonight. No more double negatives. Thank you.
Surrogate.
So,
You're a surrogate tonight.
so scratch what I just said. We can vote to have the township committee incorporate this into their ordinances because it is not inconsistent with the current master plan. Yes, Mr. Matson, I'll second that. Can you get a roll call?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Mullen.
Okay. Chairperson Warren?
Yes.
Vice
Yes.
Chairman Coleman?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chewinski?
Double yes.
Member Booth?
Yes.
Okay, Member Kandira,
Yes.
Member Mattson,
Yes.
Member Mueller. Yes. Alternate White,
Yes.
Alternate Lozone.
Yes.
Just a quick side note for housekeeping. Mr. Miller, when did you arrive for the minutes?
6:29.
6:29, thank you, okay. Mr. Mondell yelled at me the other day about making sure we know when people come into the meeting for testimony purposes, so.
Mr. Chairman, real quick. So I'm going to be drafting a very innocuous resolution that gets sent to the governing body, basically saying that we recommend the approval of this lighting ordinance. It was supposed to be done 35 days within the submission to us. So I'll circulate it, and then I'll let the chairman know when he can sign it.
I do need to just open up to the public about the lighting ordinance, just to give the public the right to speak on it. So I'll make a motion to open to the public. I have a second.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The mic is open to the public.
I hope I would see my 3 minutes over.
Oh, well, I'm going to time you.
Michael,
Yes.
you're not an English teacher.
No. Social studies, social studies.
I'm so happy you guys adopted the lighting ordinance. There's so many places improvements to be made. Scatter lighting needs to be scattered down rather than out. And, appreciate your looking into this and taking care of it. So hopefully the town council can come up with it and get on board. And maybe it'll start to be a little darker. Right? And have you seen the tent? That's all.
Wait, Mr. Verhastel, one quick thing.
Oh,
The circus.
the circus tent.
The circus tent.
Yeah. I think we're
out there, what do you want?
I think it's, yeah, I think we're going to keep the tent just so you'll know where Rochelle Park is, right? One quick thing though, Mr. Verhastel, you might want to know is that Tino Muller is on the Environmental Commission along with myself, and we are going to be bringing in someone, who's his name again, from Dark Skies?
Steve Maritz.
Yeah, he's a resident of Saddlebrook who's very into the lighting. We thought people would be interested to hear him speak, so that'll be coming up sometime this year where we'll invite the public to learn more about lighting and why, light pollution is something town should be addressing.
Great that we're never going to get it to be like a real dark
One day.
area, but any improvements will be, well.
Thank you so much. And anyone else for this particular topic for the public? No, okay, thank you. I'll make a motion to close the public session for the lighting ordinance. Second? Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Now moving on to public portion, non-agenda items. I'll make a motion to open to the public. Is there a second?
Second.
And all those in favor? Aye. The microphone is available for any members of the public for any non-agenda items.
They don't have an agenda, but I'm sure you're going to go into closed session to discuss the Tulsa situation.
It is on the agenda here, yes.
Totally non-agenda.
There are copies.
And the redevelopment things involving that are now involved in where they went the next, North Elton. That was in, I happened to read that in the paper today as well, so.
There's agendas on the table, or, yes, if you want an updated one.
That's my only comment about.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was that, Bob? One more time?
There is a discussion happening right now paralleling the Rochelle Park problems with the overdevelopment and redevelopment for multifamily housing, and the mayor is on one side of the issue. He's an entrenched old timer who may have saw the way of the developer, and the development is going in on High Mountain Road, and it's by the same developer across the street, and not that they're leaving them individually, but it's the only thing that they got going on right now in North Elton. As an aside, in North Elton, their population is between 8,000 and 9,000, roughly double our size. Every month, and their public notices are in the paper, every month there's at least 10, 12 variance requests that we haven't had a variance request before the board, a new one in 3 months.
I'm starting to get a little mad.
He gave me a day off, saved $500.
Well, but my point being is somehow people are being told they don't need variances to do things. I got some beauties within visual of my house that they need variances and they're told no.
Is Topher in litigation with Hammond?
Topher's not in litigation with them, but the way they worded it in the paper was that redevelopment agreements that are in place only one. And they're having problems with the redevelopment plan moving forward. They didn't name anybody in particular, Bill, but that's the only one I know they have in place going forward, and now it's trying to, for them, which I told them 2 years ago that they were gonna have problems before they entered into an agreement. A couple of people in town up there that, I remember that, but it's the same thing.
Thank you, Mr. Verhassel. All righty. Anyone else?
Just a quick while you were at
Mr. Kingman, go ahead. State your name, please, and the record, yes.
Kingman Madison, that more than 200 feet west of High Street, more than 1,200 feet away from Route 17. That might be interesting. I'm here to talk about two maps, okay? One is the GIS. I don't know how carefully any of you were found time to really look at the GIS map or not. But there's some really good information on there and really good options with it and whatever. But when they delineate property lines, especially in those residential neighborhoods, they are way off. And, there's nothing we can do about that, but there should be a disclaimer in there somewhere that says the best they promise is 5 feet of accuracy on the new development, and more than that on an older development. And Russell Park is all older development.
Is that something that we're responsible for?
No, I'm just saying if you use them.
Well, Mr. Kingman, I want to make sure I'm clear. You're saying that there should be a disclaimer on there, but there's nothing any of us can do about that.
Right.
Okay, thank you. You can continue now.
Except to realize it.
Okay.
Except to realize it.
I want to take action if I can, so.
I mean, on some of them, they have properties splitting a house. On others, if you add up all of the homes that are within a block, somehow, and I have to recheck my count, but they're one short on the number of lots that they show that delineate. Okay? So, things of that nature. And why I bring it up is because that's the other map. Recently, I got a letter from the state of New Jersey that they'd like to survey my property. Okay? With relation to the Route 17 bottleneck. Now, I said, I'm 100 feet away from this thing. Maybe it's because I'm 200 feet plus or minus away from High Street. Maybe they want to mess around with High Street.
Probably, yes.
I've learned someone on High Street has gotten a similar letter that says that they'd like to inspect his house. Well, when I put 2 plus 2 together, I got one layer for maybe you see that differently. But I smell imminent domain down the road. And I don't know how, if that day ever comes around, I don't know how we would feel about it. Maybe here's my chance to get out, or maybe this is a generational home, and I want to keep it. But the point is, whatever maps I've ever seen on Route 17 bottleneck, they have one thing in common, is that from milepost, let's say, 10.6 or 8, which is the south, but not the very beginning of the expansion, up till Passaic Street, East Passaic Street. It's pretty clear to people, what businesses are going to have problems. Although some of them are overconfident, they say, well, our parking spots are protected by the gas pipeline. I've seen there's more than the 2 official maps that are out there, and one was on PBS one time, and it showed relocation of gas pipeline. These are all things that I'm only saying, maybe there's nothing we could do about it. But again, I'm just trying to fill you in on it. I have a way with maps. I see what's on there. When I go in, I see things, no matter how poorly they're imaged for the resolution, I see things on them that others, so I try to call them to your attention. But I also see things on there that used to be there, but they're no longer there. And I need a better resolution for the map to prove that. And The people in the town office, they're trying to help me out to see if they can, if in their spare time, if there is a better resolution of that matter. If not, I'll have to find it a different way, okay? But it's what is not on there, and it's like what's north of 6th Street and what's south of what I call mile 10.6, which would be just north of the Cuban restaurant, okay? Between those sections, you're good. Goes north of East Passaic Street and south of the 10.6. Since the year 2016, I believe it is, when I saw the earliest issue officially released map, it was clear to me they weren't too sure what they were going to do there. Okay? And if that, in all likelihood, it would result in some very bad things for people who live in residential neighborhoods. Now, it's less clear what they're doing there, and but what they do show looks a little more dangerous. It's hard to explain in 3 minutes and a spoonful at a time or whatever. But someday if I find better maps or whatever, and that anybody wants to sit down with me, not necessarily at the meeting, and look at the maps and see what I'm saying about it, you know, my time is your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kingman.
Thank you. And like I said, none of it is your responsibility, certainly not now. And I know you've got plenty on your plate, but forewarned is forewarned, that's all I'm saying.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Seeing no other members of the public, I'll make a motion to close the public session. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. All right, moving on. Approval of minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve of, which Gina had distributed amongst the members of the land use board. So we're going to first start with the public meeting minutes. Is anyone like to make a motion? Well, is there any discussion about the minutes or questions? Anyone want to make a motion to approve them?
Motion.
Okay, second? Okay. On your roll call?
Okay, Chairperson Warren?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Coleman?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chwinsky?
Yes.
Mayor, Member Booth?
Yes.
Member Kandara?
Yes.
Member Mattson?
Yes.
Member Mueller? Yes. Alternate one White?
Yes.
Alternate two Rizzo?
Yes.
Thank you so much. We're going to move on next to the closed session minutes that were distributed. Anyone have any questions or comments up here about the minutes that were distributed? No. All right, so can I please get a motion to approve of the closed session minutes? Mr. Abood, second. I'll second them. Roll call?
Chairperson Warren?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Coleman?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chwinsky?
Yes.
Member Abood?
Yes.
Member Kandara?
Yes.
Member Mattson?
Yes.
Member Mueller? Yes. Alternate White?
Yes.
Alternate Rizzo?
Yes.
Okay, next up, we're going to move on to bills. We just have one bill tonight for the attendance at meeting, March 19, 2026, from Ronald Mondello, in a total of $500. Can I please get a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. So, there you go. Roll call, please.
Chairperson Warren?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Coleman?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Chwinsky?
Yes.
Member Booth?
Yes.
Member Kandara?
Yes.
Member Mattson?
Yes.
Member Mueller? Yes. Alternate White?
Yes.
Alternate Rizzo?
Yes.
Okay, there are no memorializations, correct, Ron? Okay, so we are going to be moving on to the closed session portion that's on the agenda. Members of the public would have to step outside while the closed session is in closed. There'll be no action, right? Nothing taken? Nope. Okay, there'll be no action taken in terms of the topics discussed in the closed session. And then after that, there is no new business, so if you want to leave, you are. If you're not, we'll come back and get you after the closed session. So motion to go into closed session?
Motion.
All right, second?
Second.
Great. We'll figure it out. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, guys, here we go. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to exit closed session and go back into public session.
Make a motion.
Thank you. Second. All those in favor? Aye. We are now back into the public session. For new business, we just have to do just something formal and to make a motion to appoint Ron Mondello as the attorney
To defend
to
that
defend the action as listed on the agenda that was discussed in closed session.
Motion.
I'll second it. Can I get a roll call?
Yes. Chairperson Warren?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Coleman?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Trubisky?
Yes.
Member Booth?
Yes.
Member Gonzalez?
Yes.
Member Matson?
Yes.
Member Mueller?
Yes.
Stop it. Alternate Fasol?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there any other business or items that the board would like to bring up for the good of the public? Seeing none, I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 6:57 PM. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next meeting is April 16th at 6 PM. Meeting is adjourned.